So even though these aren't fragrances designed for you to wear, I felt I really wanted to do a review on Loewe's collection of home fragrances. Last week, while in New York City's Soho neighborhood, I popped into Loewe, a cool Spanish fashion brand with a minimal, classy, quiet luxury aesthetic. I love the brand's vibe as well as their extensive fragrance portfolio, which is so hard to find in the United States. I was recently in Europe for a vacation, and when I'm on vacation, I'm always looking to buy a perfume to wear throughout my trip so that once I return home from the trip, wearing the fragrance can always transport me right back to that vacation feeling. I spent multiple hours staring at the extensive Loewe offering, but ultimately left the store empty-handed because I could not narrow down my fragrance choice, and in the moment, it just felt easier to walk away than to make a bad purchase decision. Anyway, after I returned to the United States, I could not stop thinking about Loewe's EDPs, and I vowed that if I saw the brand in the United States, I would allow myself to splurge on a purchase. So splurge I did. The Loewe boutique did not actually have a lot of the personal fragrance offering, but it did have a full range of candles on display. So I dutifully smelled each one before narrowing down my favorites. There were some interesting types that I didn't really entertain buying because I didn't find them appealing to my personal tastes, like cypress balls, a popular holiday profile, mushroom, too earthy for me, or cucumber, maybe a bit too subtle. 3 fragrances stood out to me enough for me to commit: tomato leaves, ivy, and beetroot. I think this brand just raised their prices, and I was a little annoyed to see price stickers artfully placed on top of the prior price stickers. But I paid $135 for a 5.1 ounce room spray. And I get it, that is a lot, but I guess I just had a lot of pent-up excitement for this collection, and I was prepared to treat myself. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with my selections, and I'll share some brief reviews for each. My first and clearest choice to purchase out of the gate was Tomato Leaves Home Fragrance. In both the perfumery and the home fragrance world, tomato plant fragrances are having a moment. I've often questioned whether the olfactive experience of tomato leaf was truly inspired by nature versus an artistic interpretation of what tomato leaves could smell like. But I'm happy to say that I recently smelled some tomatoes on the vine, and the fragrance closely resembled those to the tomato leaf fine fragrances that I've worn. The brand's website says, the tomato leaf room spray evokes, with its green scent, the fresh, verdant aroma of the vines just before they burst into fruit. It reveals delicate notes of cassis berries. When I read this description, it takes me immediately to another low-key tomato leaf profile that I adore, Diptyque's Ombre dans l'eau. But the Loewe version feels a bit brighter and happier. I can see the tart cassis, but I'm also getting what initially felt like a fresh grapefruit accord that smells so sweet and juicy, with a touch of green citrus rind. Tomato Leaves feels clean, fresh, ripe, juicy, cheerful, sparkling, and while it's green, it's also pink, if that makes sense. I'm not getting dirty earthiness, so maybe these were hydroponic or aeroponic tomatoes. When I smelled the ivy fragrance, I knew it was going to be my next purchase because it instantly reminded me of fig, and I have never met a fig fragrance that I did not like. I almost have too many fig fragrances, and for a minute, I wondered whether I couldn't just get the fig experience for a better value with some other brands, but I wanted to treat myself, and this home fragrance seemed to be a unique take on the familiar fig profile. The Loewe website says, the Ivy Room Spray has a woody scent that evokes the fresh, verdant aroma of the leafy climbing vine. It reveals delicate floral notes. So the actual description definitely takes me to a fig place, but I'm still getting a bright citrus freshness, and the whole fragrance has a caring, comforting creaminess, which makes it a very calming and relaxing fragrance. Last, but definitely not least, I found a truly unique profile that kind of blew my mind right from the first sniff. The beetroot fragrance smells truly authentically just like photorealistic fresh ripe beet. And you might be wondering, is that a good thing? Do you really want your home and yourself to smell like beet? Well, it turns out that I do. The Loewe website says, the beetroot room spray evokes with its fruity scent the fresh aroma of this deep purple and red edible fruit root vegetable. It reveals delicate sweet notes. all of the fragrance descriptions are actually a bit vague and generic because there's a lot more complexity to these fragrances, especially Beetroot, when you're experiencing them for yourself. I'm not necessarily someone who loves or craves beets, but I am certainly familiar with them, and so the smell of beets is instantly recognizable. There's a green earthiness, a slight acidity, a salty component, and a heart that contains a red, tart, fruity floral sweetness. When I first smelled it, it wasn't the fragrance profile I couldn't live without, but just the sheer uniqueness of the fragrance that dazzled me. I love discovering a fresh new profile that I've never smelled before. It rarely happens, but when it does, it makes me feel like I've broadened my ideas of what's possible in perfumery. And I've only started using it as a linen spray, but it's my favorite fragrance of the trio that I purchased. Heck, once I smelled the beet note, I actually started researching whether there were fine fragrances that contained this note. And what do you know? I saw that Diptyque has a discontinued fragrance called Kyoto, which I quickly snapped up from Mercari. After taking a closer look at this lineup and offering of fragrances, I'm seeing close similarities between the brands Loewe and Diptyque. Essentially, all of the profiles offered by Loewe are offered as Diptyque candles, room sprays, and quite frankly, an even broader array of fragrance options at lower prices. While I'm satisfied with my home fragrances from Loewe, for future needs, I'll most likely check out Diptyque first. All in all, I recommend that you check out the entire Loewe home fragrance collection for a broad portfolio of photorealistic, nature-inspired, culinary, and horticultural ingredients. If you're like many others, you may find that these creative, green and earthy scent profiles are better suited to fragrancing your home versus your body. So Loewe was really smart to focus on offering these products in home fragrance applications like candles, incense, and room sprays, with a couple fragrances offered in body care applications. I love the idea of placing these elegant looking sprays in bathrooms, bedrooms, and communal spaces to invite friends and family to spray them at will. If I was going to purchase another fragrance from Loewe, I would likely choose Cucumber, and maybe one day I'd splurge on the $80 Tomato Leaves hand soap. But for now, I'll stick to Mrs. Meyer's, my current favorite home care brand, where I can get a tomato vine hand soap for under $5. If you are in the United States, it's not going to be easy to find these, which significantly adds to their allure in my opinion, but you can go to the website Perfumes Loewe to shop the line. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thanks so much for watching.